side hustle. My name is Chris Ortega, CEO of Fresh FP&A, and let's jump right into it. So tell you a little bit about myself, and of course, Victoria's on here. It's so weird calling my twin sister Victoria. Like, I don't ever call her Victoria, but it's so funny because like anytime like my sister has like any connections, I try to like keep it professional in email. When I just want to be like, whatever, man, you're like whatever, Vicky. Like I just want to like blow her up, but I can't because it's professional. So, but tell you a little bit about myself. I'm CEO of Fresh FP&A. Fresh FP&A is my own business. It's a consultancy focused on finance, transformation, and scalable solutions for businesses. Basically, what I do is I help businesses transform and scale their finance organization by providing fractional CFO, FP&A, and finance support. I've been in accounting, finance, FP&A, and finance leadership for over 17 years. I know some of you are like, whatever, how's this dude in 17 years? Dude looks like he's like fresh out of college or something. Thank you, by the way. Thank you. But most of my background has always been in like startups, scale up, enterprise level companies. I think one of the biggest accomplishments I had is I was able to lead an international marketing platform company that was about 100 million, $130 million of revenue, about 850 employees in over 30 countries. I was able to lead that company through exit to SAP. If anybody doesn't know, SAP is one of the largest like software companies in the world. So that was a pretty cool opportunity. And then one cool thing about me as well, I used to be an amateur boxer. I used to, I think I used to fight competitively, and that was also like so some of the best opportunities I've had, and some of the things I learned so much about myself from like boxing. I still keep involved with my local boxing group. My coach is one of my great mentors. And then also another fun fact about me is I do have a twin sister. Her name is she's actually on the call right now. Usually I tell like the story of my twin sister, and like me and my sister literally are polar opposites in everything. Like she is taller, I'm not as tall. I'm darker. She's obviously a lot lighter. I'm math. She's English. She's an extrovert. I'm an introvert. That's actually the other way around. I'm the extrovert. She's the introvert. But yeah, my sister, she's absolutely amazing. So that's a little bit about me. All right, so let's get down to the learning objective. Sorry?
How long were you boxing?
I fought competitively for about 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you want us to guess your record?
I mean, sure. Like you can try to guess it. Yeah.
6-0.
Great question, by the way. I usually don't. Anytime I'm presenting to like VPs, CFOs, and CEOs, they always like their minds goes, "What? This guy used to box?" So I love it. Okay, so like the learning objectives of what we're going to go through in the time here today, I'd like to keep these presentations very conversational. So if you have any questions, comments, like come off camera, come off of mute, drop me a point in there. Like I'd like to keep it engaging. It doesn't really throw me off. So the objectives that we're going to go through is like, what is a side hustle? Why is it important for you? And why are you spending time to sit here and listen? What are some examples of some side hustles you can start? And why like financial freedom is so important. And I like to tell a story. Like I remember growing up, and one of the things that I really just absolutely loved and got me like into finance and got me into like financial leadership is my mom. Anytime she would go to the grocery store, my mom would take a receipt paper and she would map out her budget. She would say, all right, I got $200 to go here, and she started adding things up. She'd be like, all right, here's what I got to buy for clothes. Here's where I got to do this. And she have this end number at the end of her receipt. And we go to the cash register and it'd be like within $2 of that exact number. And I was just always blown away how my mom budgeted, how she planned for stuff. And then for me as well, like I took it upon myself, like, growing up in a single parent background, my mom, she did the best that she could, but we didn't have a lot of growing up. I remember it's so funny having my sister on this presentation because like a lot of time my examples are like talking about her. But a lot of time growing up, my sister's shoes like used to be my next year's school shoes, right? So like I would like clean them. I'll make sure they're like nice. And like my brother would get us like nice shoes. And I'd be like, Vicky, you got to keep your shoes really good because those are gonna be my next year's school shoes. So and I share that as a story because I think like financial freedom, it starts. You probably came across it earlier in your life. Maybe you came across it in high school. Maybe you came across it in college. Maybe you came across it in your professional career. But this idea of financial freedom, I think, is so important. So those are the learning objectives. After the presentation, if I did like a really good job, we're going to deliver all 4 of these. And if I didn't, if I didn't do a good job, there's not 4 out of 4. So that's what we're shooting for. Okay, so what is a side hustle? So I won't read this Forbes quote, but think of a side hustle as like, I remember growing up, all the little different side hustles I used to have. Like I used to be shoveling snow. I used to, cut grass. I used to, when I was in college, I used to be like a tutor to people. So a side hustle is that opportunity for you. I think of it as like passion projects, right? So like when I came and started my Fresh FP&A business, like that was my side hustle. Like I was public speaking, I was doing outside consulting work, I was helping like technology companies transform their finance organization while having like a big boy job as leading like a finance organization. So like I was getting the practical experience in working in an organization and basically taking that experience, those failures, those wins, and translate that over to like helping other organizations or going or traveling all across the world to talk to companies about how they can create their own different side hustles. So typically like the real like genesis of a side hustle is probably something you're already passionate about doing right now. And in a side hustle, like there's also another like quote where it's just like, so many people spend 40, 60, 80, however your work week is, so much time in like investing in another person's dream, but they don't spend that same time, energy, and effort investing in their own dreams. So to me, I think like a side hustle, definitely in the day and age now, that is like your financial security, man. Like, for me personally, like when I stepped away from like the corporate ladder, I reached the highest levels of finance leadership, had some great opportunities, did some merger and acquisition, did some fundraising, did all these cool things. And then I realized I was like, man, you know what? Chasing my purpose is way more important to me than delivering and making an impact in somebody else's dream or reality. So, I love this quote from Forbes. It is a way of just providing that security and that blanket for yourself, whether it's financially or even chasing your passions. Kind of talked a little bit about this, right? Like the definition of it. I love this Rick Ross because like every time I think of a side hustle, it's like every day I'm hustling. Like that song, that is like the side hustler's anthem, is that Rick Ross song. So shout out to Rick Ross for like dropping that bomb. But to me, like I think like the second point around this is like purpose and passion, right? Like finding your purpose and finding what you're passionate about. I have a good friend of mine. He kind of stumbled upon his side hustle. He was working in automotive. He was like a mechanic. He was doing all this stuff. And I remember every time I met him at the gym or any interactions we had, he always had like really great inspirational and motivational things for like just to talk about. Like I loved our conversations. Every time I connected with him, whether it's me taking to get my car changed or I see him at the gym, or when I was boxing, we would go spar. He just always had this motivation and just inspiration that he just this allure about himself. And I said, hey, Dave, his name is David Gibson. I said, hey, David, man, have you ever thought about like channeling that passion that you have and this experience? Have you ever thought about like actually create a business around that? Like, dude, you are a great brand. You know how to connect to brands. You know what leadership is about. You're inspirational. You're motivational. Every time I come around you, or every time I have a conversation with you, I leave that conversation feeling stronger and more powerful. And he says, man, Chris, I never thought about it that way. Fast forward like a couple years, I randomly see him. I was like, hey, Dave, man, what's going on with you? And this is where he said, hey, Chris, I started, man, my own business. It's called Elevation is a Must. I do public speaking. I do motivation. I do inspiration. And I thought that was so cool because this is somebody that was, doing the automotive mechanic, doing that stuff, not really passionate about it, not really living his purpose. And he translated that over into an opportunity. So my challenge to you for you to think about is like a lot of those passions that you have, you got to think of a way like it's passion